You killed someone in self-defense. This is a deep subject. I've spoken about it in the past. And here we go again now with part 2. I've spoken to some criminal defense attorneys and some other professionals to give me some input for this video. And it's not going to be just focused on what to do after you shoot someone in self-defense, but also what you should do prior to shooting someone in self-defense. This is not legal advice. I am not an attorney. I'm going out here on a limb on the internet doing this, but that's okay. It's my First Amendment. We have a lot of good people on this channel on weaponseducation.com. I like your input. In my first video, it created a lot of controversy on what to do when I gave that certain situation of a guy coming at you with a knife. A lot of you said, I'm just going to take my gun, I'm going to either brandish it or scare him off, or I'm just going to shoot him. I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried out by 6. And a lot of you had a lot of really cool comments, good and bad. You know, just right now, let's get down and let's get serious about a very serious subject. You kill someone in self-defense, what do you do? Welcome to weaponseducation.com. Let me start out with making this statement. You can be charged with murder if you kill someone in self-defense. I'll say it again. You can be charged with murder if you killed someone in self-defense, especially with what's going on in the world we live in today, where the media is trying to make a name for themselves. If there's a shooting, they're going to want to put the shooter and hang him high. The DA is going to want to hang you high. They're going to want to throw you in jail and find a reason why you're wrong and the dead person is right, even if you're right. You killed someone else. That person is dead. The reason they can charge you is first-degree murder, second-degree murder, voluntary manslaughter, or self-defense. So put self-defense. Well, let's hope you're not charged at all. In each case, the other person is dead and you killed him. Can you live with that, by the way? The only difference is your intent. And then that's where this portion of the video of me speaking about what to do prior to you pulling the trigger. This happens to be an HK P2000 SK 40 caliber I'll use here as a prop. Prior to pulling the trigger. Now, I'm going to go through my notes here. I'm going to take my time with this video because it's powerful and there's a lot of important substance here. In my first video, I spoke about a scenario where, and there's so many different scenarios, no two criminals are alike. No two crimes are alike. We can focus on one scenario and everyone can jump in and say, well, that's the end of it, that's the way it's done. There's no such thing as two identical crimes, or criminals for that matter. But in the first video I made a hypothetical story where there's a van full of thugs out there 100 feet away and they're screaming at you, for instance saying you're on their turf, get out, while you're pumping gas, and they're scaring you, and then one of them walks at you with a knife. Whether they're, I know the 20-foot rule, I know all about it, how fast someone can run at 20 feet with a knife. A lot of you said, well, I'm going to pull my gun and boom, shoot him. Well, we're going to talk about the word avoidance in the law here in a moment. Forget that story. Okay, let's move on here and say, when is deadly force justified? Let's talk about some real facts in this video. Now, if you memorize and live by this one sentence, I think you'll be okay. At least I think you'll learn a lot. And that's what this is all about. If you get one tip from my videos, then I feel like I've succeeded with the video. Please subscribe, weaponseducation.com. Okay, if you can memorize and live by this one sentence, deadly force is justified only when undertaken to prevent imminent and otherwise unavoidable danger or death or grave bodily harm to the innocent. Let me say that one more time because that's a powerful sentence you need to know. Deadly force is justified only when undertaken to prevent imminent and otherwise unavoidable danger or death or grave bodily harm to the innocent. The key word is unavoidable. All right, I'll give you another scenario. In the first video, I gave you a scenario about being at the gas station. Let's pretend you're sitting in the mall parking lot, killing time, and you're in the front seat of your car. The car is not running, and you're on your computer, your iPad, whatever, and no one knows you're in the car. And all of a sudden, a bad guy bashes out the rear window with a bat or something. You just turn around and blast him. Okay? Could you have avoided killing him? A lot of people will say, yeah, the guy smashed into my car. I'm sitting there. He's got a baseball bat. Yeah, what I would do, I would try to avoid killing him, avoid violence, trying to start the car and drive away. And let's talk about that and keep in mind, no two crimes or criminals are the same. Same scenario, the guy bashes the front glass. You're sitting in the car and he bashes your front window, and now he's coming at you with a baseball bat and he's about to bash your face in. Now, you really can't avoid it. You can't drive off. You don't have time. He's already hit your arm with the baseball bat. He sees your iPod. He's a nutcase on bath salts. He wants to kill you. You take your HK, whatever, your Glock, and you blast him. He's dead. This is the part of the video I think you're looking forward to. What do you do next? It's not legal advice. I'm not an attorney. This is what I would do. It's my First Amendment right to say what I would do. I would immediately call 911. I would ask for the police and paramedics. Tell them there's a shooting that took place. Tell them I also need a paramedic. You're probably going to vomit. Law enforcement, military, who's well trained, have not handled shooting someone all that well. It's a well-known fact that human beings are not naturally supposed to kill other human beings, especially us good law-abiding citizens on this channel who want to live in a harmonious situation. We don't want to kill anyone. The word avoidance is huge. Please try to avoid danger. You shot him. Okay, now you shot him. He's dead. Now you're going to have a lot of different scenarios, but is there any witnesses? The word witnesses came up a lot in the first video. Are they your witnesses? Are they good witnesses? Are they people at the mall who were shopping and seeing you getting your face bashed in with a baseball bat? Or are they the bad guy's witness who was, you know, the getaway car? So a lot of things take place here on who's going to call 911. I would call 911 unless it's a scenario like this. What if you're in a restaurant like an Applebee's, and this is a clean situation where a nut job walks in, shoots up the place, shoots up 8, 10, 12 people. You're sitting at your table, and you just seen 12 people assassinated in cold blood by like a movie theater type shooting. You're a hero now. You pull your gun and you shoot the guy. You're a hero. The witnesses in that case call 911 all at once. Oh, thank gosh, Tom saved my life. He shot the bad guy after shooting 12 people. If it wasn't for him, the bad guy would have shot 12 more people. So every situation is different. Now, what I'm getting at is calling 911. Usually, see, I call that the white area. You're in a restaurant and you're a hero. That's the white area. Everything else is the gray area. And when you're in the gray area, where you could possibly be prosecuted, most likely will be prosecuted, like I said, for either first-degree murder, second-degree murder, voluntary manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter, or self-defense. This gray area, I would call 911. I would ask the police to bring paramedics. I would tell them a shooting took place. Tell them you need a paramedic. You're not going to be dealing with it too well, believe me, if you shot someone. Maybe you want to attempt to render aid to the person you shot. We don't want to kill anyone. Do not touch anything after the shooting. This is what I would do. You don't want your fingerprints anywhere they're not supposed to be. They're going to be taping that area off. They're going to have, the DA is probably going to be there. They're going to have special investigators there. You're going to have lights all around. There's going to be 100 different types of law enforcement there when the shooting takes place. Don't mess with the evidence. Don't touch the body unless you're rendering aid to help the person stay alive, is what I would do, if it's just you and that person. But generally speaking, if you can tell the person's dead, you shot him in the head, I wouldn't touch the body, I wouldn't try to move it, I wouldn't try to mess with the evidence. There's so many different scenarios. Now, once the police have arrived, what do? Well, you inform them you have a firearm by doing this, because you've already called 911, you know they're on their way. The gun is out there in front in plain view. You have your hands up, palms out. Let them know you're the good guy, but don't talk anything else except for the fact that a shooting took place. I am innocent. I was in fear for my life. And we're going to talk about some other things here in a moment. And that's it. You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth. You're probably going to get arrested. Don't be nervous. You know, at least you're not dead. You should never pull that trigger unless it's the last resort. Unless you try to escape. What if another scenario comes up and someone attacks you, a smaller person, a teenager, a 17-year-old, 15-year-old, whatever, and he's got a baseball bat and you're a big guy like me, 6'5". What do you think the jury's going to say if I just shoot someone with a baseball bat and I got a gun and he's 140 pounds and I'm 230? Huh? You try to escape, or if you have to fight, try to fight with non-lethal weapons, like even your fist or something in your car. Hopefully you have a billy club or something, mace or something to disarm him. You don't want your pistol, you're pulling that trigger as the last resort. Okay, now you get arrested if you shot someone, and I know I'm moving around here, but there's a lot of stuff to cover. You shot someone, and I say do not talk to police except for the fact that you will work with them in the investigation, but you need legal advice and you call your attorney immediately. If you don't have an attorney, which many of you do not, you call someone that you trust. You get that one phone call, extremely, it's someone that you trust, like say your wife, okay? You call your wife, and whatever happens after that, you never say a word about the situation to anybody except your attorney. Not even your wife or your family or your friends. Don't be a George Zimmerman out there blabbering your mouth out to everyone, the media, everyone, thinking you're so clear. The case was so black and white that you're clear, you're in the clear. You're not in the clear. They want to put you in jail. Remember, you want to prove to a jury that you tried to avoid danger. That's part of the law in most states, even if you have your stand your ground law. We'll talk about that. The first officer on the scene, he's not going to be the one who's in charge of the investigation. There's going to be multiple officers, including the DA most likely, or an assistant DA, right there on the scene. It's going to be a big deal. Evidence is going to be all over the place. Do you want to point to evidence and tell the police this, that, and the other? They might think you planted it. Just don't say anything. Just say, I will abide by your investigation, but I need legal advice. Don't leave the scene. Some people were saying they would leave the scene in my other video. That's scary. Now, here's something that no one else has ever spoke about. The reasonable man doctrine. I'll say it again. The reasonable man doctrine. Well, what is that? The DA is trying to put you in jail, for instance, and you're in front of the jury. The DA is going to look at that jury and say to them, would a reasonable person, under the same circumstances, knowing what you knew at the time, likely have used deadly force in self-defense? Meaning, would that person sitting on the jury have pulled the trigger if they were sitting in your seat? Whether you were in the car and they were smashing your window in, or whatever the situation is, when you're defending your life in self-defense. That is called the reasonable man doctrine. And if that juror says, oh no, I wouldn't have pulled the trigger, I would have done 3 or 4 different things in my mind to get out of the situation, you're going to be found guilty. That's why it's so important to try to avoid pulling that trigger. Because everyone's not pro-gun and they don't understand this the way we think. You know, that we just want to live. A lot of people on the jury will say, you know what? I wouldn't have shot him. And if that's the case, you can be found guilty. If the members of the jury say to themselves, you know what? I would have pulled the trigger in that situation, then you might be let loose. You know, be found innocent. Let me talk about this, something else I've never seen anyone else speak about. It's called the elements of ability, opportunity, and jeopardy. You Leos know what I'm talking about, you cops. Because for 4 decades, police officers have been taught that they can employ deadly force under certain circumstances. 3 in particular. Say it again. The elements of ability, opportunity, and jeopardy. And this is what law enforcement, kind of the unwritten code is on when they can use deadly force. For instance, did the bad guy have the ability to cause my death? Then the bad guy's coming in close proximity and was near enough to me, not way over there in that van or 50, 60 feet away with a knife. Did he have the opportunity to shoot me? He's in close range. So first of all, did he have the ability? Does he have the opportunity? And did you believe your life was in jeopardy? Now, if those 3 things come into play, along with the very first sentence I said, deadly force is justified only when undertaken to prevent imminent and otherwise unavoidable danger or death or grave bodily harm to the innocent. The key word is unavoidable. Did you try to avoid the situation? Did the bad guy have the ability? Did he have the opportunity? And did you feel like your life was in jeopardy? You got a good chance of getting off on self-defense. We know about the castle doctrine. I'll do a separate video on it. Thanks to the NRA, we have, in about half the states in the United States, have the stand your ground law and the castle doctrine. Well, that's a separate video. The bottom line is, if you shoot someone in self-defense, call 911, get a hold of your attorney. Don't say a word when the police come. Put your gun out here. Let them know you're the good guy. Do not mess with the evidence. Hopefully there's witnesses on your side who witnessed the whole thing. Hopefully it's on videotape. Hopefully it's a black and white case. Most of them are gray areas, and that is why you do not want to pull the trigger. That is why the trigger is your last line of defense. Your brain is your first line of defense. I want us all to stay alive, and I want us all to protect our lives. You know that. If you follow my channel, you know what I'm all about. Thank you so much. Please subscribe. Please tell a friend. If you like this type of video, I'll do more. Stay safe. Get trained. Check it out.